What is going on, New York Giants fans? D. Illa here. Going to do a preview for the Giants-Washington Commanders game at Sunday, 1 o'clock in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Giants coming off of 2 away games that ended up being losses against the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. So now we go up against the Commanders. And this is a team that the New York Giants should be able to play with, no matter who the quarterback is, Tyrod or Daniel Jones. And if Daniel Jones is in there are no excuses as to why he cannot throw the ball down the field in the secondary. We're talking about one of the worst secondaries in this league. You watch every single team that goes up against the Commanders, they are able to throw the ball down the field. Hell, the Atlanta Falcons, a run-dominant team, went out there and threw for over 300 yards against the Washington Commanders.
And we're talking
Guys
about Desmond
like
Ridder here.
Drake London, Kyle Pitts finally showed up for that team. A guy that really hasn't done much of anything in the past 3 years of his career. Went out there, had a good game. A guy like Jonnu Smith went out and had like 40 yards, I think, against the Commanders. Yeah, I mean, it's not tough to throw the ball on these guys. Now, running the ball, it can be a little bit more of a challenge. Tight ends don't necessarily produce very well against the Commanders, so I'm not expecting much out of Darren Waller. It doesn't matter what tight end the Commanders go up against. They always find a way to kind of shut that guy down and completely eliminate the tight end.
Outside of what just happened this past weekend with Pitts,
they haven't had an answer for it all year. So I'm expecting big plays from guys like Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm sure he'll be used underneath. And I expect a big-time day from this passing attack. I really do, no matter who the quarterback is. And if Daniel Jones gets back out there and he plays this Alex Smith type of football for 60 minutes again, I am not going to be happy. You know, the Alex Smith type of football that doesn't result in wins. At least Alex Smith, when he went out there and played the short game, you know, he still came out there and produced victories. But it doesn't work for Daniel Jones. So, obviously Saquon's coming back for his second game after injury. Saquon, history-wise, Saquon against Washington, he's always had pretty good games against them. I mean, I think he's probably had some of the best games of his career, if I'm not mistaken, against the Commanders. So I'm expecting him to go out there, put up some pretty good numbers, as long as he gets the blocking up front. Offensively, as far as our quarterback goes, you know, the Commanders have 2 really strong pass rushers. They've got some good interior defensive linemen. You know, you're talking about guys like Montez Sweat, Chase Young. And if you don't block a guy like Montez Sweat, you're talking about a guy that's 6'6", 270 pounds, and can run like a gazelle, man. Dude's got 4.4 speed at that size. And Montez Sweat is a guy that I really wish this team would have drafted him back in the day. But, of course, we took Dexter Lawrence, and a lot of people would agree with that pick. But in my eyes, you always take the pass rusher over the interior defensive lineman who's basically just a run clogger. I've never really agreed with that. When you see a guy that's on the board at 6'6", 275, and has 4.4 speed, a guy that looks like a clone of Julius Peppers, like, you take that guy. Like, that's the smart thing to do in my eyes. But obviously we took Dexter. Dexter's been productive for this team. Montez Sweat has had some pretty good years for the Commanders. I don't think he's ever been in double digits sack territory for the Commanders, but he's gotten close. He's definitely gotten close. But, you know, things worked out the way they did, and it is what it is. The Commanders offensively, you know, you talk about a guy like, what's his name? Sam Howell. Sam Howell can escape out of the pocket. He can buy time to throw the ball down the field to guys like Terry McLaurin. You know, they've been using Logan Thomas a lot this year at tight end. Yeah, they've been throwing the ball to him. He probably averages at least 5 to 6 targets a game. So the Giants are going to have an answer for him. Johan Dotson really hasn't produced for them this season as their second wide receiver. Terry McLaurin really hasn't done much himself. I mean, Sam Howell has had some big games, but you know, the wide receivers have definitely underachieved for that team so far this year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I'm just going off the fantasy numbers that I know in my head. I'm pretty sure those wide receivers.
A lot of their production
really
at the wide receiver position has come from Curtis Samuel.
But, yeah, Sam Howell is definitely he's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. He will get out of that pocket. He'll run with the football. You know, and it's not necessarily always easy to bring him down with the first tackle. Like sometimes you have to group tackle that guy because he is a slippery fish sometimes, man. He can get away from you, and he can get up the field and gain chunks of yards at a time through the running game. So if we find a way to get some penetration through that offensive line, we got to get to Sam Howell. We got to bring him down in the backfield, and we can't allow him to buy time and throw the ball down the field. Defensively, for the Giants, hopefully we step up and we just you know, basically just take back over from where we left off last week. If they come out there and play sound football defensively like they did against the Buffalo Bills, I don't think they'll really have much trouble controlling this, you know, Washington Commanders passing attack. As long as they don't let, you know, a guy like Sam Howell get out of the backfield and buy time and throw the ball down the field. So, again, regardless who the quarterback is, defensively, I think we can contain this team. This is a game that I believe we could win. This is a game we probably should win. And historically, this is a team, even going back to Eli Manning's years, this is a team that we have dominated for a long period of time. So, I think that should continue in this one. You think about the Commanders running back situation. They've got a guy like Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, he's a guy that'll probably average, you know, 50, 60 yards a game. He had some good games last year, but this year he hasn't necessarily, you know, hasn't really produced for them either. But he's always a factor, especially he's a good goal line back. He can get the tough yards. He's basically just a hammer running back, man. He's not really going to break off too many big runs. He's just a guy that needs a lot of volume, and that's how he gets his yards. But he can wear down a defense. So we got to be strong up front, especially on the interior. Our outside defensive ends have to, you know, hold their gaps, not be too over aggressive, and just play the running game right. Play the running game right. And we do all those things, man. I don't see any reason why the New York Giants can't come away with a victory in that game on Sunday. And that's not necessarily something that I want to happen, because obviously I'm a guy that's preaching draft position, and I will continue to do so. If Tyrod Taylor plays in this game, I expect big games from Jalen Hyatt and Darius Slayton, because I do think Tyrod's going to take some shots down the field. If Daniel Jones plays, who knows? But hopefully, you know, Daniel Jones got a little bit of a wake-up call staying on the sidelines watching Tyrod play this past week. So that's it for the video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. That's about it. Take care. I always appreciate everyone tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, talk to you later. Bye.